Well, these last few days now, I've been doing some work with the Husqvarna mold, or splitting axes. It's kind of been a revelation, but it's a little complicated, so I'm not going to leap into the whole thing at once, but I'm going to kind of give you a first impression on these. This is the maul, a 6.5 pound. Now, when I used to look at pictures of these, it doesn't look like there's much of a taper compared to, like, this is the Collins that I normally use. Either that thing splits it or it doesn't go in at all. It isn't like it's going to stick. My theory on these was always that it was going to stick much like, a regular axe. The angle isn't that much different, the taper to it. But if you look closer, the thing that becomes apparent is that's a little deceptive, because these have got a kind of a spine here, right down the middle of each one, which actually almost doubles the effective wedge size of the axe. So it isn't as narrow as it looks. Actually kind of interesting in that, I think the theory is that it's able to penetrate. If it gets past this point, it penetrates fairly easily, because it isn't like on these, you're a lot of friction across the whole face. Well, here now your friction is concentrated right here. It's interesting. It became apparent to me that the people who designed that knew what they were doing, which is a good thing. Rather than just a heavy club, they actually used a little science in this. Plus, you do have more reach before you get to the handle. All in all, I've always been satisfied with the Collins. This is a 6 pound. The one thing about them I like, they've got an oblong eye for the handle. Them round ones are about useless. They break all the time. If you have one that's got like a sledgehammer type of end on it. But interesting. Collins is between 30 and 40, and this is right around 100. But I think it's worth it. I have noticed the one thing I had to adjust to right away was it took me much less force to go through a log, to split a piece. I was tending to hit it too hard. I had to kind of back myself off a little. Well, that, and the one thing I would say, the one downside to it, which is something I've noticed on other Husqvarna stuff too. Talking the head, I'm very pleased with the head. I have no complaint there. The handle is a 32-inch handle. Now, for most people, maybe that's a right size. But, my Collins is, what is it, 34 or 36? 36, I think, so that's 4 inches more. So that's what I'm used to, so it takes a little adjusting on my part. But that's even like a regular axe. For me, I like 36 inches. That's what's comfortable for me to work with. But as a general rule, that might not be true. Other people would probably be different. And there again, in that same vein, like this large splitting axe, similar design blade, and the two are kind of designed to complement each other. But then they went and, like I say, this is 32-inch handle. They put a 30-inch handle on that one. When you've got two tools of similar function, I think it would have been wiser to keep the handle the same length. That's it, just for me. I mean, if you're using one or the other, no problem. But if you're switching back and forth, then it could become a problem. It's whatever you get used to. Like I say, I have to adjust to use this one because I find myself I'm always striking a little bit short, because I'm used to that extra range with this one. But it's something a guy can adjust to. But like I say, it takes less effort, which is a good thing, even though it does weigh a half pound more. So I'm pleased with it. The design, it is deceptive. Like I say, when you see pictures of them, it looks so narrow in here. You see a picture this way, and you say, oh, okay, it ain't very wide there. You only got a couple inches that you're hitting with. Then you look at this side, and you think, oh, okay, narrow in here too. You just get the feeling that thing is going to stick, but it doesn't. If you can get her in that far, she's going. But it has to do with this kind of a spine they got built in. It's interesting. But, it struck me that whoever's building them, because there's again, Husqvarna doesn't actually build them. Husqvarna contracts with people who know what they're doing. So you're getting kind of a bargain because these same people are selling their axes for a lot more money. So you're getting a quality axe at a kind of a cut rate, which is a good deal. I don't know how long that'll go, because I have noticed in the listings now Husqvarna is coming out with a line of the composite handled ones, very much like the Fiskar ones. And that concerns me a little bit, because I'd much sooner have a traditional type wood handle on them. Oh, and I was talking about that friction tape the other day. That's what I put on all. It isn't so much, on a regular axe, it's not really a problem. But on a splitting axe, you're dealing with a lot of end grain, jaggedy, splitting stuff. So eventually it just bears down on that. And you end up tearing your handle up. And the friction tape is easy to replace. Use it, and as soon as it starts getting torn up, for a few cents, you can replace it. But, like I say, so far, I'm pretty enthused about this. It's, like I say, not cheap, but I think, because I burn nothing but wood. And I've been doing this for, like 30, 40 years. So I split a lot of wood, and I split it all by hand. For me, I think this is really well worth the money, actually. Even this Collins, I've been happy with that. Like I say, that's been a good tool. But Collins axes have all been good tools to me. I've never been disappointed with them. They're a step above your stuff that you get out of China. But I see the Collins ones now are being made in Mexico. So, But I think these Swedish ones being made by people who know what they're doing. That's a pretty good design. It's actually a joy to work with. So it'd be the kind of thing like, I'm thinking, if you know somebody who burns a lot of wood, splits a lot of wood, that'd be a hell of a gift to give them. So I'm thinking, maybe before they quit making them all together. Because I'm sure, the companies that are making them for Husqvarna are kind of cutting their own throat, because they're selling a product that they can get a lot more money for. And at the same time, Husqvarna's probably has to pay a fairly good, the profit margin probably isn't very great on these. Probably more profitable to make those composite handled that are a whole different design, which I don't know where they're being made, but the odds are that they're probably Chinese. So I think, while a guy can still get good Swedish steel, good American hickory, I think a guy should maybe have a couple of them on hand. Like I say, it'd make a hell of a gift. But, I'll think about that. But I'm thinking I should order some. But like what I say about handle length, like I can work with the 32. It's just, I would have preferred that they kept this one at 32 also then. But even in their what they call a small forest axe, you know, that's like a 26-inch handle. You know, I call it like a 3/4 axe or a boy's axe. A short-handled axe is a kind of a dangerous thing. You know, it's different if you've got like this is designed to use with one hand. This is the same handle as what's on the carpenter's axe, and that's fine. But when you start using them with two hands and doing, you know, like they say on that small force axe for felling and splitting, well, no, it's not. It's a good general purpose light axe, but it's not near the axe that one like this is, you know, where you got some weight, you got some length. I mean, this you could cut a tree down with. I wouldn't want to start with one of the little Husqvarna ones, so I do love, that's a nice handy little axe. But it's not a general purpose axe, it's kind of a special purpose axe. Whereas, to me, this is a general purpose axe. But that's, you know, kind of a personal preference. But I kind of think you guys got to get them while you can. Just the way things go.